Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we are continuing our World's Best series here on the channel, today focusing on retinoids. Retinoids are a fantastic addition to your skincare routine. The vitamin A derivatives, which actually speed up cellular turnover to smooth out the skin, they increase collagen production to minimize fine lines and wrinkles, and over time they can tackle hyperpigmentation. Retinoids are often termed like the gold star ingredient in skincare, and with those benefits, it's quite hard to argue against that. However, brands aren't that transparent and they don't make it that easy to choose the right one for your skin type. So we're kind of going to do a deep dive. I've got 6 of the best selling retinoids in the skincare world. We're going to pit them off against each other to work out which is the best of the best. So sit back, relax, and let's talk the world's best retinoid. Now before we get into this video, like I said, this is part of a series. I'm going to leave a link to a playlist I did up there. We've already covered sunscreens and vitamin C's. So if you're looking for like a shortcut to the very best products for your skincare routine, check out those videos that you might have missed and hopefully it'll act as a little bit of inspiration. This video took a little bit of pulling together and working out in terms of the formatting and the research, so I would be really grateful if you'd reach down and give this video a big thumbs up and a like. It's a fantastic way of supporting me and the channel, and the vitamin C video equivalent of this one actually now has over 1,000 likes, which is like mind-blowingly amazing. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let's see if we can beat that tally with today's video, and all you need to do is reach down and gently caress that like button. I would love to know your personal recommendations when it comes to retinoids, so sound off in the comments section below. With all that being said, let's cut that waffle and just delve straight on in. And to kind of put these against each other in a bit of a fair and balanced way, we're going to have 4 set criteria. First and foremost, we're going to look at formulation. That's really key because honestly, a quality formulation can make or break a skincare product. So formulation is going to be front and center. We're then going to move on to application and performance. How did this apply to the skin? What results did I actually get? I've used all the products that we're talking about in today's video, so I can tell you my own experiences with them. We're then going to look at the price point. Nobody wants to overpay for their skincare. I'm looking for a price point that's reflective of the quality of the formulation that we'll already have discussed to work out whether it's actually value for money. Then finally, we're going to come on to transparency. How open is the brand that's promoting this product actually being? Are they telling us the concentrations of these retinoids? Are they kind of bamboozling us with science? I want everything to be really crystal clear for you guys. So we're going to have a transparency category that I think is really important. We're going to pull these all together. Each will be scored 10 out of 10 to give a grand total of a mark out of 40, which will help us rank the best of these best-selling retinoids. Before you all read me to filth, this isn't a scientific study. These are my thoughts, feelings, and opinions applied to these different metrics for measuring success of these products. So sound off in the comment section below if you would disagree. We're in 2022. I want this conversation to be going. You know, there's no right or wrong here. I just want that conversation to start. Now, let's kick things off with a product that I know a lot of you guys use out there, and it's this. This is the Geek and Gorgeous A Game 10. So let's start with formulation. I'm going to be giving this a 9 out of 10. Superb, superb formulation. This uses retinal, which is actually a higher potency retinoid than retinol, which all the other products I'm mentioning today are going to be composed of. So retinal is closer to the retinoic acid that our skin needs to deliver all the fabulous benefits. So it has to go through fewer conversions, meaning it's just that little bit more efficacious. So you don't need quite as high a concentration of a retinal as you will a retinol to get the same results, if that makes sense. I covered in a recent video kind of the differences between retinol and retinal, which I'll link up there if you're a little bit confused and you want to do a deep dive into that specifically. But beyond just having that great high potency retinoid, this also has a beautiful formulation of different oils to hydrate the skin. It's got allantoin and panthenol, 2 wonderful calming and soothing ingredients, because I actually find that retinal is less irritating on the skin than retinol, but you still will get some dryness and potential irritation. So by formulating with these hydrators, these oils, and these fabulous calming and soothing ingredients, you get a really nice formulation that's designed to offset some of the potential side effects. In terms of application, I'm also giving this a 9 out of 10. Beautiful finish on the skin. If you're like me and super oily, acne prone in terms of your skin type, you can probably use this as your moisturizer and retinoid in one. It is that hydrating. It's got a really nice pump applicator, which I find is easy to dispense the right amount, because you don't want to go to town. You don't want to use too much of any of your retinoids, because that could trigger some sensitivity and irritation. It glides onto the skin, leaves behind a veil of hydration, but it's not sticky, it's not greasy, and it doesn't break you out. It will work for literally any skin type, and the performance, the results I got from this have probably been some of the best that I've ever experienced with a retinoid. Such a great product. I'm knocking 1 mark off, rather than being a 10 out of 10, I'm knocking 1 mark off because it is quite yellow in colour, which is a natural colour of that retinal, so it can kind of dye your hair along the hairline if you have particularly light, fair or blonde hair. That's something to call out, so maybe just put a little, barrier cream around the hairline or just avoid that area with application. So that's 1 mark off for that, but for everything else, absolutely stunning. Price point, 10 out of 10, super affordable. This is by far and away the cheapest retinal, which is quite expensive to formulate with, you will ever find, which is absolutely stunning. Finally, when we come onto the transparency, 8 out of 10. A wonderful, wonderful product that's really clear what concentration you're getting here. The only reason, literally the only reason I'm knocking a couple of marks off it is because I don't think Geek and Gorgeous explain very well the differences between retinal and retinol, so you know exactly what you're getting as a consumer. You go onto their website, that's not that clear. So I'm knocking a little bit off for that, but that's probably me being a little bit pedantic and harsh. And altogether, this is getting a 36 out of 40, and I feel we're off to a flying start. Next up is the SkinCeuticals 0.3% retinol. Now I wanted to include this because I wanted to have a range of price points in this study. We've got the Geek and Gorgeous that is relatively affordable. SkinCeuticals definitely on that higher price point, but sometimes you do get a little bit more by paying a little bit more, which is kind of what I wanted to put to the test. In terms of formulation, I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. The formulation seems to change depending where in the world you live, which I'm not a huge fan of, if I'm totally honest. I think, we live in a global world. I want to know exactly what I'm buying, no matter where I happen to purchase it from. In some territories, this actually contains denatured alcohol, which I'm not a fan of in a retinoid. Retinoids will dry the skin. Even if you've got super oily skin like me, it can be a little bit drying, and that denatured alcohol is just going to dry further. So I think this is not the best formulation, particularly when you're thinking about that price point that I'm going to come on to in a minute. It is a really nice strength, and 0.3% retinol is relatively like a mid-strength product, and you definitely get some great results. I really like the packaging and how this is dispensed, but for me, the change in formulation depending on territories and that denatured alcohol is what knocks it down from a 10 to a 7. When it comes to performance though, this 10 out of 10. It performed like a dream. The application was divine. It didn't break me out. It worked beautifully on the skin. And I think this is one of the quickest acting. It almost acted a little bit quicker than that Geek and Gorgeous that I actually rated 9 out of 10, which is why this is going up a point further. And I think it's perfection in terms of application and performance. For price point, we're going to give it a 3. Now, I'm not just being harsh on this because it's the highest priced of all the products today. I just don't think you're getting a whole lot more by paying a lot more. You're not scoring on that much higher in terms of how quick it acts than the Geek and Gorgeous, but you're paying 4 times as much. So that for me isn't the best selling point of this product. I'm giving it a 3 out of 10. Finally, when we come onto transparency, this could be a 7 out of 10. I actually do really applaud them for putting that front and center on the bottle, that 0.3 concentration, so you know exactly what you're getting. It's just not that clear, the exact ingredients that you're buying. If you go onto the SkinCeuticals website, for some reason they don't actually put the ingredients list of this product, so you don't really know what you're getting. You have to go to third-party websites, which, you know what, I'm just not all about. So I think they could be a little bit more transparent and open in terms of the formulation and what you're actually buying, especially because they want to charge a ridiculously high price point. I think we have a right to kind of know. This is going to give us a 27 out of 40. Still a really respectable score, but less than the Geek and Gorgeous. So in this case, I don't think it's worth paying more because I don't think you're actually getting more. Now, a drugstore favorite will be the Olay Regenerist 24 Retinol Cream. So many people love this. It took like the world by storm. It's one of the cheaper options when you compare and contrast it to other high-potency retinoids, but at the drugstore it still commands a relatively high price point, particularly for Olays, but we'll come on to that in a minute. In terms of the formulation, I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. It's nice, but it doesn't have the same nourishing and hydrating ingredients that you got with the Geek and Gorgeous product. I think it lacks some basics that I'd like to see, such as calming and soothing ingredients to offset the side effects of some of the retinoids that you're going to see. I also think that it's using a retinoid complex, which means you're not getting that high potency that you'll get from, say, the Geek and Gorgeous or the SkinCeuticals, but they're not really that clear about that. I'm always dubious when I see retinoid complex because that often means they use derivatives, they're using encapsulation, they'll use palmitates, all of which are absolutely fine, but they're taking that strength down, and I think it allows them to put a higher percentage on the bottle often without actually that corresponding to better results. I hope that makes sense, but I think the formulation could definitely be improved, which is why they're getting a 6 out of 10. In terms of the application and performance, 8 out of 10. This actually worked really, really well. Applied lovely to the skin, was really lightweight, worked nice as an evening and like a night cream because it was hydrating enough, but wasn't thick, occlusive, and broke me out. And I got some really good results from it. So, for the price point, I think that's absolutely fair. When it comes to that price itself, 8 out of 10, because whilst it's actually a little bit more expensive than the Geek and Gorgeous, and I think you get more with the Geek and Gorgeous, this is why I'm knocking it down ever so slightly. It's still a really affordable drugstore price point, but I think a lot of the hype that this is getting is because it's Olay, a brand that a lot of people know, rather than the formulation it's actually delivering. I think even though it's relatively inexpensive, I expected just a little bit more. Then when it comes to transparency, 5 out of 10. They're not clear on what the percentage is that's actually contained within this product. You don't know what that retinol complex is actually made up of. It's really difficult for me to say whether this is a high, medium, low strength retinoid. I think based on the usage, I'd probably say it's a mid strength, but it's really difficult to know. And I think, you know what, in this day and age, we kind of want to know what we're putting on our skin. So that actually gives a sum total of 27 out of 40, which is the exact same score as SkinCeuticals, but for a fraction of the price. So that's definitely worth bearing in mind. Now let's come on to the Paula's Choice Retinol 0.3% plus bakuchiol. Now I chose this over the Paula's Choice Clinical 1% strength retinoid, which they both sell in similar volumes and units, because I think this had the most interesting of the formulations and is the best of the Paula's Choice. And I'm all about celebrating success. I want to set brands up for that success by choosing the best of the best from their collection. So in this formulation, 10 out of 10. Absolutely divine, packed full of hydrators, calming and soothing ingredients to minimize those side effects. You've got a really nice mid concentration of that retinoid, same strength that you're getting with SkinCeuticals, but for a lower price point, and you get some bakuchiol as well. Bakuchiol gives very similar outcomes to retinoids, but it's much more gentle. It's not a vitamin A derivative, so they're not a like-for-like comparison, and I don't think I get the same results just using bakuchiol on its own. But by including that in this formulation, you're kind of dialing up the intensity of the product without dialing up the side effects. So yeah, the formulation for this I think is just A+ and amazing. In terms of application, this is getting an 8 out of 10. It applied beautifully to the skin, glided on, felt really, really nice to use, and I definitely got some really good results out of it. The only thing is this slightly broke me out if I used it every single evening in my skincare routine. I saw that I was getting some closed comedones, some whiteheads, which wasn't the best for me. I don't think this is going to be the same for every skin type. Everyone's individual, but the reason I'm knocking it down to 8 out of 10 is I think that this could just, yeah, it could break you out, especially if you've got an oily, acne-prone skin type. With the price point, we're going for 6 out of 10. It's up there in price point, but I think you get way more for that price than you will for SkinCeuticals, which is why it's scoring higher than that. But I still think, you know, there are more affordable options out there. But I will give them, you know, I don't mind paying a little bit more to get that bakuchiol with that retinoid, but it's not a game-changing formulation that I think justifies the higher price point. Finally, we're going to get transparency. Yeah, 8 out of 10. Love, love, love this. The only thing I'm knocking it down for is that they do often call out the benefits of acne fighting with this ingredient, with this product, which I think is a bit odd, as it did kind of break me out a little bit. So I'm knocking some off for the transparency of that. I think if they just drop that claim, I think it would be a 10 out of 10. Very open on the concentrations and the formulation, which I absolutely love, which brings a sum total of 32 out of 40. Definitely a really good performer. We've then got the CeraVe Retinol Serum. Not a fan of CeraVe as a brand for reasons I covered in a recent video, which I'll link up there. But this is definitely a bestseller, particularly in the US market, which is why I wanted to cover it. Formulation, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. Ceramides, you've got some niacinamide, you've got some calming and soothing ingredients. Altogether, a really nice formulation that's going to give some great anti-aging benefit and also minimize the risk of irritation. In terms of the application and performance, 5 out of 10. This actually did nothing. This didn't really do anything. I'm an established retinoid user, and this is maybe more for beginners than those that are established with this ingredient, but it kind of did nothing, left me feeling a bit underwhelmed. Felt nice on the skin, but it's one of the heavier of the options that I tried that wasn't particularly what I look for in terms of texture. Price point, 8 out of 10. It's a good price. There's nothing wrong with this. It's a good price, but again, I think for the formulation, you could kind of just get better. I would say that Geek and Gorgeous, if that's accessible to you. Then finally, transparency. I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. This is bad. CeraVe aren't a transparent brand. They never tell you the concentrations of the ceramides and the ingredients that they're using, which is a shame because I think, like I say, transparency is key. You have no idea the strength of retinoid in this. I suspect it's ridiculously low because you didn't really get a lot of performance out of this, but I don't know. And so that lack of transparency is giving them a 5 out of 10. You know, they do tell you some of the other ingredients in there, which is kind of a legal requirement. So they are open at least about what you're actually applying to the skin, but the concentrations are nowhere to be seen. So this comes in for 27 out of 40. So there you have it, guys. A rundown of some of the 6 best-selling retinoids on the market and my thoughts and ranking of them. I think this has just confirmed that I'm totally right to be reaching for this product, the Geek and Gorgeous A-Game 10, because to score 36 out of 40 is as close as you're going to get to sheer perfection. This is a ding, 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 holy grail product. However, not everybody can get their hands on this product. It's not as accessible in the North American market, where Paula's Choice, which actually came second on this, I think would be a really good option. I love the formulation that combines that bakuchiol with that retinol retinol to dial up the intensity of the results without also increasing the side effects. And I think this is a really good example of paying more to get more, and I don't mind stretching to the Paula's Choice price point of this product because I think it is genuinely a different and innovative product that doesn't have a lot of copycats on the market. All the other products were much of a muchness. You know, I think when it comes to skin cuticles, it's not worth paying that higher price point because hopefully you've seen that the Paula's Choice and the Geek and Gorgeous, which both cost less, actually deliver more. So if you're on skin cuticles, maybe switch to one of the other products for those better results. I also was pretty disappointed with the CeraVe product. I think the lack of transparency coupled with the poor performance of the product kind of left me feeling a bit towards it. I think it could work if you're looking for like a gateway into retinoids, you're new to the ingredient, you want to take it super slow and gentle, and you love CeraVe, then I think this could be a great starter retinoid, but I'd move on pretty quickly because I think for a very similar price point, you can actually get more. I think the Olay one shocked me the most. This is one of the best-selling retinoids and people have gone mad for it, but I was pretty underwhelmed in terms of what it delivered, the lack of transparency, and whilst I liked the application, I don't think it wasn't anything else you could get at the drugstore, even for a lower price point. Olay is a relatively cheap brand, but this product is one of the most expensive from the line, so bear that in mind. I'd say stick to the Geek and Gorgeous, which has different strengths for different skin types, or the Paula's Choice if that's your preference. I think these two are streets ahead of the rest of the ones we've tested. So, do you agree? Disagree? What are your thoughts, feelings, and opinions? Sound off in the comment section below. Wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye.